fell into this. The first job I took was a summer job, and I was the tea lady for this, and it just so happened to be for a financial advisor. I used to make the tea, I used to fax, and occasionally I got the upscale job of scanning and emailing stuff as well. And I was quite happy doing that. My objective was to earn some money over the summer so I can then go to university and get this higher education that everybody's talking about so I can make it in life. Well, I just started doing that. I started to feel money and think, oh, I quite like this and I'd like more. So I became then his financial administrator, and I just grew from there. And then one day, the advisor came in late and he rang me up. His clients had arrived and he told me, go in the room and start talking to them. And I thought, I make tea. So off I went, grabbed some paper. I just grabbed plain paper and a pen because I thought, well, what do? I always see them carry paper and pen. So I took paper and pen in the room and I just sat there. I forgot about why I was in the room and I just talked to them. We had this incredible conversation. I then remembered, I should start taking notes because that's also what they do. So I started taking notes of all the things that they were saying. And then at the time, my boss I was working for, Peter, he walked in, continued with the meeting, and it was just absolutely fabulous. And he told me after we'd left that I'd actually just conducted a financial review. And I thought, wow, I actually loved doing that. So what do I need to do to continue doing that? And then I went on to sort of get my qualifications in sort of business, finance, that type of thing. And I started to do that whilst I was working. And then one day I realized that I'd outlived this office admin role, for me. And I sought out to get another job, and I decided I'm going to be an advisor, and I'm going to show people and let people discover too that financial freedom was a choice. And I want to remove the heaviness out of money and bring back the lightness and the love and the joy that people want in their lives. I step into the joy and celebration of life. Like, what's life about? What do I want to experience? So often in my life, I've always lived in the future or in the past. And, only a few years ago, I discovered the actual present moment. And I was, you might call it blessed, or I was unfortunate. For me, I was blessed. 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I sat in front of the doctors. I've never been ill in my life. I've never even had the flu. I save my sick days for when I'm well. And I sat in front of a doctor and she told me that I have probably about 6 months to live. It was insane. I thought they'd made a mistake. So from there, all of a sudden, I was actually, gifted. I was gifted with life. It's like life came in a box and said, here you go. This is what you've got. What are you going to do with that? And I touched the essence of life in its seed, in its soul. And I got to feel what it's like to be in the present moment. It's the most delicious place of living I have ever experienced. And I wondered, why was it that we waited for financial freedom, the hardness of that? We waited for somebody to die in our lives that were very close to us, or even something so harsh to happen to us to receive that gift. We already have that. So for me, because I've experienced what it's like to say, you've got a limited amount of time. Yeah, we know that's a true fact, right? So I wanted to maximize the time I have. I recently spent some time with Tony Robbins, and he said, we talk about life and time and so on, and it's not about how much time do we have. What he says is, how much life do you want to squeeze out of time? And what I know is money strategy, money mastery is something that will help you squeeze as much life out of time. So I help people with the money strategies so they can do that. Any sales training, even money related, it's always fear driven. What will life be like if you don't have the money to do this? What will you say to your children? And so on and so forth. So I've come from that, and I lived in that. Money was a heavy subject. Like they say, money's not important, but it's as important as oxygen when you have none. So when I became sick, money had no meaning anymore. So I got to answer the questions firsthand. What would I do with my life if money was no object? My discovery in that was that money is not supposed to be here to be heavy. It's the currency of exchange. It's so we can buy the good stuff. It's so we can buy more time. So I discovered the lightness in that, and that's why my work is revolved around the joy and the celebration of living. By having that determination that you will live the most outstanding life that you want to live and demand nothing less than that. So that's where I want to take that fear-driven drive, but remove that from fear and divert that to the energy of living an outstanding life. And I will demand nothing less than outstanding for my life. So now it's about stepping into that, the joy and the celebration. I experienced it firsthand. The most delicious place to, and I use the word delicious because you have that sort of energetic field around the word delicious, like chocolate, for example. So when you're living in the present moment, you engage in deep connection. And human need is to have connection with other human beings. That's why we're made human. Otherwise we'd be a tree or a couch or something like that. Though some people are couching, but that's the choice that they want to make for their lives. So I want this for the world. I want to live in a world where people get to experience who they are. And one of my mantras is be in your own show. Watch it, breathe it, live it, view it. If your life was a movie, would you watch it? It's just a question. I certainly want to get to the end of my life and be able to say to myself that I lived the best life that I can be. I lived the best I can, and I was the best that I can be in every given moment, knowing the best is different depending on how you feel. I want that for the world because it's the gift of your life. That's why you were born. Why can't we draw out our passion? All this work that I'm doing now, I'm getting so overwhelmed with it. It's like, where do you start? Do you know what I mean? And I want to start with give people what I've got. I've got a message. I just want to tell you stuff. That's it. I want you to live. I want you to live.